بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وبارك على الأشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد الحمد لله. Alhamdulillah, we mentioned in the last lesson or discussed the nas, the text of the hadith of Jibreel, and how the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam within this narration he discusses the arkan of Islam, Iman al-Ihsan. And so here, thus after that, Sheikh Zayd poses the question in relation to these arkan, in relation to these pillars. So he mentions وهنا السؤال يأتي عن الأركان الإسلام ومعنى كل ركن منها وذكر شيء من ثمراتها. وذكر شيء من ثمراتها. And so after mention this hadith, then you find the question after that will be asked about these pillars of Islam itself, the meaning of each pillar, and mention something from the benefits and the fruits of each pillar, being upon each of the pillars. And the Shaykh mentions والجواب كما جاء في الحديث عن الأركان الإسلام وأنها خمسة. As for the jawab, as for the answer, then as mentioned in the hadith of Jibreel, the arkan of Islam are 5. شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة وصوم رمضان وحج البيت الله حرام لمن استطاع إليه سبيلا. These are 5 pillars. The shahada of لا إله إلا الله أن محمد رسول الله, and establishing the prayer, giving the zakah, fasting the month of Ramadan, and performing Hajj to the house of Allah, whoever has the ability to do so. فأما معنى شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله فهو نفي جميع ما يعبد من دون الله. So this is a negation of everything that is worshipped besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وإثبات العبادة كلها لله, and the affirmation of ibadah, all of it in totality is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the shahada of La ilaha illallah. وهذا معنيان هما ركنا لا إله إلا الله النفي والإثبات. وقد سبق المعنى لا إله إلا الله لها ركنا النفي والإثبات. النفي يؤخذ من لا إله وإثبات يؤخذ من بقولك إلا الله. And so, what we understand in relation to the shahada of La ilaha illallah, first and foremost, is the affirmation there is no deity worthy of worship in truth besides Allah. And we discussed previously in relation to the shahada that there are 3 prominent definitions that are given for the shahada of La ilaha illallah. One of them being that is the shahada of La ilaha illallah يأتي بمعنى يعني لا خالق إلا الله. There is no creator besides Allah. And you hear this, and this is something that's become more prevalent over the years, in fact, where people ascribe the shahada of La ilaha illallah to be the affirmation, the ithbat, and acknowledgement of the khalq, Allah Ta'ala khalaq, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates. However, as we know, this is a definition which is erroneous. This is a definition which comes with error. Why? Why does the definition come with error? If we say La ilaha illallah, it means there's no creator besides Allah.
Because the mushrikeen, they also affirm this. They didn't enter into Islam.
And so, so we mentioned the shahada, those that give the definition, make the definition of shahada of La ilaha illallah, يعني meaning لا خالق إلا الله, there's no creator besides Allah. And the first issue of this is that this only deals with and only covers what? Rububiyyah. So this definition only accounts for the Tawheed of Rububiyyah and doesn't account for the Uluhiyyah. And this Tawheed of Uluhiyyah essentially is what the Anbiya or Rusul were sent to their nations to call the people to. And this is what was set as the criterion and was a tamyiz. Now differentiate the people of Haqq and the people of Tawheed from the people of Batil. And we know this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us. وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. Indeed, we sent to every nation a messenger with a command to worship Allah ta'ala alone and stay away from the false deities. This is why the messengers were sent. And they weren't sent لِعَجْلٍ in the ithbat al-rububiyyah, in order to affirm the rububiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first. The second reason as well is what we refer to as the lisan al-hal, or the lazim al-qawl. If you say, and what is the necessitate from that speech? So if you say now, that La ilaha illallah means that there's no khaliq, there's no creator besides Allah, then what this speech necessitates is that you are truly saying that if we say that La ilaha illallah, this shahada is what enters the person into Islam, then we would say that it's sufficient for the mushrik that affirms that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a khaliq, that affirms that Allah ta'ala is a creator, and affirms that there's no creator besides Allah, that by way of him saying La ilaha illallah with the i'tiqad, with the belief that he has already, that there's no creator besides Allah, that this will be sufficient for him to enter into Islam. And this is what this definition would necessitate. No doubt this is incorrect, and that which is correct and that which is also mentioned, should we say, is another definition, which is La ilaha illallah, la wujud ilaha illallah, la wujud ilah illallah, and there's no God. They may translate it as there's no God besides Allah, or there's no deity besides Allah. This is incorrect as well. The second definition is incorrect as well. Why?
Because there is other gods besides Allah, but they're false.
This is what they refer to as khilaf al-waqi'. This is in opposition to what actually is in reality and what is occurring. And there are other deities that are taken besides Allah. So if a person cannot now say there's no God besides Allah, because there are other gods that are taken. They're false gods, they're false deities, but they're taken as deities nonetheless. And so this is something which is in reality not true. To say that there's no God besides Allah, and there's no deity besides Allah. Because there are other deities that are taken. Also, what's problematic about this is what? This particular definition. If we say there's no deity besides Allah.
Basically, probably everything you're worshipping is Allah.
Now, the lisan al-hal, that which is necessitates is that you're saying, if there's no deity besides Allah, there's no God besides Allah, that means that anything that is taken as a God essentially is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something which is, of course, false. Na'am. This is the i'tiqad of al-hulul, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one with his creation. And so this is why this particular definition is erroneous. Then you have the third and final one, which is prominent from the definitions of La ilaha illallah, la wujud ilahin, or la ma'budu haqqin illallah. There's no deity worthy of worship in truth besides Allah. So this affirms, no doubt, the ibadah. So it doesn't just focus upon one for Tawheed and Rububiyyah. It affirms the ibadah for Allah, and it affirms that the ibadah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is upon the haqq. That the ibadah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in accordance with the truth. And so this is what we understand from the true definition of La ilaha illallah. As here Sheikh Zayd, rahimahullah, he mentions that there are two pillars in the Quran. There are two pillars. So previously we discussed and we covered its conditions. Previously we covered the conditions of the Shahada, of La ilaha illallah. Now, and we said the conditions are how many?
7.
7. And they are?
The
Yaqeen, so ilm, knowledge. Yaqeen, certainty. Qabul, yani acceptance. Ikhlas, sincerity. Mahabba, love. Sidq, truthfulness. Inqiyad, yani submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so these are the conditions. We discussed previously as well what is a condition, what makes something a condition, and how a condition is different from a rukn, how a condition is different from a pillar. And what do you understand for a condition to be?
It's a prerequisite that if it's not present, then the other act is not valid.
Is a prerequisite meaning what though?
For example, for the salah, without wudu, then the salah's not valid.
No.
It's a shart.
No.
The salah.
So how does that differ from a rukn, a pillar then? How does a shart differ from a pillar? How does a condition differ from a pillar?
A condition is basically what you need beforehand of you performing the act.
No. So the difference, the key difference is, and it's a prerequisite, the focus on the word pre. Now that it has to be before the action.
It's taken.
Now before the action is embarked upon, that this condition has to be fulfilled. And the condition has to be present throughout the action. Now the condition has to be present throughout the action. The rukn, it has a particular time or particular place within the action of ibadah. Then the pillar has a particular time within the action of ibadah. As for the pillar, then it is at that, or as for the condition rather, it has to be present before you begin the action and it has to be present throughout the action. So these seven conditions as mentioned, they have to be present throughout the action of the shahada essentially. Just like for the salah, it has conditions, and those conditions have to be present throughout the action. From the pillars, or rather from the conditions of salah, let's say, is istiqbal al-qibla, facing the qibla. Now, it's a condition. You have to be facing the qibla before you begin the salah, and then throughout the salah you have to be facing the qibla. You cannot now say that I'm going to change direction within the middle of the salah, and not face the qibla. That's the meaning of it. So these seven conditions have to be done. And these two pillars for the shahada of La ilaha illallah are the nafi wal ithbat. Yani nafi, so the negation of anything that is worshipped besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this word la, or the words la ilaha, the la is known in the Arabic language as la an-nafi lil jins. La an-nafiya lil jins. So it's a la which negates absolutely everything. Na'am. La an-nafi lil jins, the word after it is mansub. Hence why it's la ilaha with fatha. Ilaha with fatha. So it means it's a negation of absolutely everything. Na'am. So when you have this negation, and you have this mention of negation, la ilaha, i.e. there's no deity worthy of worship, yani, and in the absolute sense, no deity worthy of worship, yani, in truth, yani, and then you have after that an ithbat, illallah, yani, except for Allah, besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this is the second pillar, the ithbat. So we affirm that the ibadah is lillahi tabarak wa ta'ala. So we affirm that the ibadah is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the second. Now, thereafter, Shaykh Zayd mentions, وَعَمَّا مَعَنَا شَهَادَ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدٌ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ فوطاعته فيما أمر وتصديقه في الأمور كلها وتنصر في متابعة النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم التي أمرنا الله بها في قوله وأطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول. And so this affair of the shahada of Anna Muhammad Rasulullah, Anna Muhammad Rasulullah, then this is something which is regarding the obedience to him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Obeying him in that which he is commanded with. And believing him in that affair. So believing him when he's informed us of particular affairs. So no doubt when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam commands us with an affair, then we obey him in that. We obey him in that, whether that be wujub or istihbaban. Now we are, because we seek to follow him in his sunnah. We obey him. Likewise, we have tasdeeq, we believe in that which he's informed us of. So when he's informed us of that which has occurred previously, that which has occurred from previous nations, or that which will occur after his death, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, from the ghaib, then we believe him in that. And this, no doubt, is also in accordance with that. And reality is that obeying the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is one and the same and in accordance with obeying Allah ta'ala. Obeying, you cannot obey Allah unless you obey the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You cannot obey the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam unless you obey Allah. Now, you cannot adhere to one without the other. And so Allah ta'ala states, or obey Allah and obey his Messenger. Or obey the Messenger. Now, likewise, as mentioned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us with obedience to him. في كل شأن من شؤونه, in every affair from his affairs. ورتب على ذلك الهداية والفلاح. And he mentions as a result of that, that which comes from that is al-hidayah. That which comes from that is guidance. That which comes from that is al-falah. That which comes from that is al-falah, success. As Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala states, وَاتَّبِعُوهُ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ. And obey him, the Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, so that you may be from those that are guided. As obedience to the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, the result therein is one of hidayah, one of guidance. Now, ومن ثمرة الركن العظيم الذي هو أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله تحرير القلب والنفس من التعلق بالمخلوقين والاعتماد عليهم في جلب المصالح ودفع المضار. And so from the benefits, on the fruits of this great pillar of La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, one of the great benefits of this is that it's a means of freeing the heart and allowing the heart to escape, as well as the nafs, to escape and be freed from being attached to the creation. An attachment to the creation which would cause the individual, the person within their nafs, within their own self, or the person with their heart, to be from those that rely upon the creation. Rely upon the creation when it comes to bringing about a benefit, or relying upon the creation when it comes to repelling a harm. That the individual in reality, when he is adhering to the shahada, in truth, shahada of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, when he's adhering to that, then no doubt with that affair, his heart will be attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His heart, this is a means of purification of the heart. The greatest of means of purification of the heart. The heart is not attached to individuals from the creation. Individuals from the creation that they themselves are in need. They themselves are individuals in need. And so that's the first of the benefits mentioned. The second, Sa'adat Darain, and the happiness, attaining the happiness of the Darain, the two abodes, the dunya and the akhirah. إذ لا سعادة للإنسان البشري في الدنيا والبرزخ وآخرة إلا إذا حقق الإسلامه على الوجه الذي أراده الله. And so thus there is no happiness, true happiness, for mankind in the dunya, barzakh, and the akhirah, except that the person makes the Islam manifest. And they make Islam manifest and they practice their Islam in a manner which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from them. And in the manner that has been clarified by the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And so this is the second benefit that we have for the one that truly adheres to the Shahada of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. That's the first pillar. Then you have the second pillar. The second pillar, which is the pillar of the Salah. And the Salah, lughatan, yani linguistically, the Salah means a dua. The Salah means a dua. They say, وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ يعني the statement of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So it's a tawbah. وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ يعني make dua for them. أي عُدْعُوا لَهُمْ make dua for them. And the definition shar'an, the definition of the salah in the Sharia is a ta'abbud lillahi bifi'liha ومسحوبا بالنية الخالصة على كيفية التي وضحها رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم صلوا كما رأيتم يصلي. And so in the Shar, in the Sharia, there is an action of ta'abbud lillah that is under a particular action that has to be with a pure intention in the manner that the Prophet ﷺ has clarified. Due to his statement, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli, pray as you've seen me pray. And likewise, you have the definition of Shar'i in terms of the Salah, وهي أقوال وأفعال وأعمال مفتتحة بالتكبير ومختتمة بالتسليم. And these are a set of speeches, of speech, action, and actions which are open and began with the takbir and closed and ended with the taslim. So they began with the takbir and ended with the taslim. وهي من أعظم الأركان الإسلام بعد الشهادتين. And it's from the greatest of the pillars after the shahadatain. Now, and from the benefits of this as well, Shaykh mentions two benefits. The first of them is Inshirah al-Sadr. Now, that is an opening up of the chest, i.e. the person becomes open, doesn't feel the hardness of the heart. It's a means of cleansing oneself. Inshirah al-Sadr. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, Ya Bilal, aqim as-salah, wa arhina biha. Yani, O Bilal, establish the prayer and let us feel ease by way of it. The second of the benefits mentioned by Sheikh Zayd, with the salah, is that this is for the cool of the person establishing the prayer. It's from the coolness of the eyes of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And likewise, anyone that follows in that. Let's just take it from the hadith found in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, where he mentions sallallahu alaihi wasallam, جُعِلَتْ قُرَّةُ الْعَيْنَيَّ فِي الصَّلَاةِ. And the coolness of my eyes is placed within the salah, the one establishing the salah. Now, likewise, the salah is a means of protection and removing a person from fahsha wal munkar, removing a person from evil and lewd acts. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us, Inna salata tanha al fahsha wal munkar. Indeed, the salah prevents from evil and lewd acts. So these are some of the benefits mentioned here by Sheikh Zayd, which is the salah itself, and the one that establishes the salah. وَأَمَّا الزَّكَاةِ, as for the zakah, then this is the third pillar of Islam. And what is understood from the word zakah is it's a means of tathir. It's a means of, the word linguistically means that it's to purify. Zakah meaning to purify something. And zakah, يعني شرعا in the Sharia, the zakah is التعبد لله بإخراج المال مخصوص من المال المخصوص لطائفة المخصوصة في وقت محدد هو الشارع الحكيم. And so, what we understand from this definition is that zakah is an action of ta'abbud, it's an action of ibadah. So ta'abbud, and the person يخرج الزكاة, they pay the zakah ta'abbud, and it's an action of ibadah, drawing near to Allah, using specific wealth. Now, taken from specific wealth, given to a specific individual at a time that has been established and outlined by the one that legislates. Referring to who? One that legislates? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so now, it's an action of ta'abbud, action of ibadah. Using wealth, specific wealth, taken from specific wealth. What is that? What is meant by that, ikhwan? You understand? That ibadah. Yeah, specific wealth taken from specific wealth. What is the specific wealth that is taken from the specific wealth?
Your excess wealth.
Now,
So it's the specific amount that's required for you to pay from the specific wealth that you've had for a certain period of time.
now, so the specific amount is what? 2.5%. That's the specific wealth. That's what's you've been ordered to pay. From the specific wealth, meaning what?
What you've held for a year.
What you've held for over a specific, a set period of time. Now, and generally a year. So what you've held for, let's say, the year, and that 2.5%. That amount is given as zakah. And لطائفة مخصوصة. And it's for a specific set of people. What is meant by them? Who are the specific set of people?
The seven that are mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specified.
Those that are specified now to receive zakah. It's not just the fuqara. No, it's not just those that are fuqara or those who are poor. And so, from the thamarat, now, from the thamarat, from the benefits of zakah, is what's here by the Shaykh. Yani, there's three like those that stand out from the benefits. From them is tathir al-nafs, ومرضية الشح والبخل إذ هما خلقان ذميمان في كل شريعة من شرائع الله. And so, the first thing is that this is a means of purifying someone's character. I purify from someone's character from the ill characteristics of essentially being stingy, miserly, and being the one that is focused only with money. And this particular characteristic is one which is regarded as being blameworthy. No doubt, it's a blameworthy characteristic to have. And is found and is mentioned as a blameworthy characteristic within the legislation. And so, when a person gives the zakat, this is a means of him purifying himself from those characteristics and freeing himself, his nafs, from those characteristics. الثانيا تدعيم الإسلام وسد الحاجة المسلمين. And the second is the extent of the establishment and the benefits, bringing about the greater benefits of Islam and removing the needs of the Muslims. Now, I'm aiding the Muslims. No doubt this is from increasing Islam in its izzah, or increasing the izzah of the Muslimin, rather. Increasing the Muslims in their honor. That if the zakah, if they're recipients of zakah, then the Muslims may be able to and should be able to aid one another. Because no doubt when the non-Muslim, or when the Muslim rather, has to go to the non-Muslim for support, that this is an action which is lowering oneself and one of humility. And when you put it in context, these are individuals, barakallahu fikum, that don't believe in Allah on the last day. These are individuals that do not give Allah the most basic of His rights, the right of Tawheed itself. These are individuals that associate partners with Allah. They fall into the greatest, sin that a person could ever fall into in this dunya. And then you find the Muslim who's Aziz. Just call him a Muslim. The fact that he's a Muslim is Aziz. The fact that he's a Muslim, Allah Ta'ala has raised him by way of that. Because he's established Tawheed. But now he goes to the person, he goes in need to this one that does not give Allah Ta'ala his rights. No doubt this is why it's an affair of humility. To put it into a context, a much lower context, if someone was to insult a relative of yourself, with the most evil and heinous of words, and then you find yourself having to go to them to aid you financially, because this is you're not able to have that is and to defend yourself or those that have spoken about, those closest to you, and you're in need. And this is something which is, no doubt, not comparable, because we're talking about shirk in reality, and kufr. And so the zakah is a means of the Muslims aiding the Muslims and maintaining the izzah of the Muslimin. No doubt that's something which is azim in reality. This is the second benefit. The third is that it's a means of a person purifying their wealth. The means of a person purifying their wealth. Because the reality is that ibadah can be, a person can perform ibadah, as mentioned by Sheikh Fawzan, a person can perform ibadah by way of three main means. The badan, the body, the mal, the wealth, and the badan, wal mal ma'an, and the body and the wealth together. So if a person performs ibadah with the body, that's other shay. Now, the person performs ibadah with the body. For example, they perform the salah. This is ibadah of the body. However, their wealth, na'am, is a need for a person to use their wealth for ibadah as well. So they may purify that wealth. So that wealth that they're spending is guaranteed to be spent upon, there's some khair coming from their wealth. Na'am, the person, he spends, and inshallah, he's spending upon that which is beneficial to him. However, when he spends with the zakah, وَأَنَّهُ مُخْلِص, whilst being mukhlis, that this is a means of purifying that wealth, because that wealth has gone straight to ibadah. So this is the second type, which is ibadah and wealth. And the third, is ibadah, which is done with the wealth and the body. Now, an example of that is what? Does anyone know? Hajj. Now, performing Hajj. Then you spend your money in order to go for Hajj. And then the actions of the manasik al-Hajj, performing the rites of Hajj, then you perform them with your body. Now, thereafter it mentions As-sawm. Right, the fourth pillar, which is sawm, the fourth pillar, which is the fasting. And the fasting هو إمساك عن شيء ما. The fasting which is withholding from something. As for the the fasting in the Sharia, then this is the إمساك عن المفطرات بداية الصيام نهار رمضان عبادة الله وامتثالا لأمره. As for the Sharia, then is imsak withholding from the muftirat, the things that break the fast. And with the niyyah, with the intention of fasting during the day of Ramadan, as an action of ibadah and adhering to the command, to his ibadah before Allah and adhering to his commands. So here you have imsak, it's withholding from the muftirat. Here, we mentioned the muftirat, the things that break the fast. Shaykh Fawzan, Hafidahullah, he mentions, in addition to muftirat, he mentions the muftirat, al-hissiyya wa ma'nawiyya. So he mentions the muftirat al-hissiyya wal-ma'nawiyya. So he mentions that the muftirat are two. You have those that are the direct and the literal things that break the fast, and then you have those that break the fast, meaning. So the things that break the fast, hissiyan, are the things that absolutely break the fast. So that if the person was to embark or do anything from the muftirat, hissiyan, then he would need to make up that fast. So for example, eating or drinking. If a person eats or drinks during the day of Ramadan, then of course they have to make up the fast of Ramadan. Ma'nawiyan, in meaning, that these are the things that will affect the kamal of the soul. It will affect the perfection and the completion of a person's fast. So the person, if they were to do any of these things, it does not break the fast. However, it affects the fast being complete and incomplete in terms of its ajr. So, for example, the person opposing the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he mentions, "Man lam yada' qawl az-zur wa 'amal bihi, laysa lillahi haja yada' ta'am wa sharaba." That whoever does not leave off full speech, acting upon it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have any need for him to leave off his food and his drink. So if a person embarks on full speech, ghiba, namima, qawl az-zur, shahadat az-zur, na'am, and the likes of that, he embarks upon that and he engages in that, or he acts upon it, so he falls into anything from the muharramat, acting upon full speech, then Allah Ta'ala does not require for him to leave off his food and his drink. And so this, no doubt, would render the fast naqis, render the person's fast deficient from that reward. Likewise, it mentions bin niyyah, with the intention. And the niyyah is from the things that separate the fast, when we talk about the fast and its definition lughatan, and the fast and its definition shar'an. So when we talk about the fast and its definition in the language, a linguistic meaning, it means to withhold from something. Withhold. As for the meaning in terms of the fast in the Sharia, then it's to withhold, but with the niyyah, with the intention. So a person, mathalan, he could wake up and not eat anything and ends up eating after Maghrib, but he does not intend to fast. It just so happens that due to circumstances of his day, he hasn't eaten. He's not going to now say, cannot be said now about this individual that he's silent. He's a fasting individual. Likewise, the individual that doesn't eat, and he intends to fast. He makes intention to fast. This one is the one that is silent, inshallah, because of that niyyah. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And thereafter, Shaykh Zayd mentions that from the the benefits and the fruits of the fasting is that it's a means of making the nafs accustomed, ترويض النفس على ترك المحبوبات ومعروفات, and that the person's nafs, within their own selves, they become accustomed to leaving off that which they have love for, and that which the hearts are attached to, that which the person is attached to, the hearts are attached to. طلبا لمرضات الله, يعني seeking the pleasure of Allah. وطبعا في بين الثواب يوم القيامة, and longing and hoping for achieving his reward on Yawm al-Qiyamah. This is what the person does. So the person becomes used to leaving off the things that he desires. Lillah. Because his him and that which is the most important to him is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That which is most important to him is pleasing his Lord. So he leaves off that which is beloved to him. Whether it be food or drink. Or other than that. After that, the Shaykh mentions the fifth and final pillar of Islam, and that is al-Hajj في اللغة فهو القصد. So al-Hajj linguistically means al-qasd, يعني the intent to do a particular action. وفي الشرع هو القصد بيت الله الحرام للقيام بالمناسك الحج وأداء الجميع شعائره وأداء جميع شعائره. And so, as for in the Sharia, as for the Shar, then the Hajj and its definition is the intention to go to the Baytullah al-Haram, the Baytullah al-Makkah, in order to establish the rites of Hajj, and in order to perform all of those actions that have been legislated. And likewise as well, it has benefits. Now, from them is that the person again, he accustoms himself, his nafs, his individual accustoms his nafs to exerting himself and spending his money in the way of Allah, spending his wealth in the way of Allah. لأن الحج من سبيل الله, يعني الحج is from the way of Allah. وثانيا التحدي بالنفس في جميع طاعات الله, that the person seeks to make clear for himself, or seeks to purify for oneself, so that he's able to establish all of the actions of obedience to Allah, as the nafs becomes used to and obeying Allah. And this is what the person longs for. They long for the obedience. Allah Ta'ala A'lam. Now, and so thus, the Shaykh, he goes on to mention, فإن تطبيق الفعل لهذه الأصول العظيمة في واقع الحياة يجلب للأمة المحمدية كل الصلاح والفلاح في أمور الدين دينها ودنياها. فليتقي العبد ربه ويحققها. And so, if he's an individual now that establishes these actions, establishes all of these pillars, and is a person that fulfills these pillars, like these pillars of Islam, is an individual that implements these pillars of Islam, then by way of that, no doubt, is a means of rectification and success for this ummah. Rectification and success for this ummah in the deen, rectification and success in the dunya. And so it's upon the servant of Allah that he fears his Lord, And he fulfills and makes manifest these pillars. For indeed these pillars, and these pillars of Islam, are the foundations of his religion. وَعَاصِمَ لِدَمِّهِ وَمَالِهِ وَإِرْضِهِ. And these pillars are a means and the means of his blood, his wealth, his honor being sacred. I mean untouchable. ومفتاح أسيل للدخول الجنة عرضها كأرض السماوات والأرض وإذت للذين آمنوا بالله ورسله. And that these 5 pillars are a key, are the main key for the person to enter Jannah. And its width, like the width of the heavens and the earth, that have been prepared for those that believe in Allah and His Messenger. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو فضل العظيم. And that is the fadl of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, virtue of Allah ta'ala. And He gives it to whoever He wills. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala possesses great virtue. Allah ta'ala possesses great virtue. Thereafter ذكر المؤلف رحمه الله بأن من أنواع العبادة الإيمان. Also the author mentions that from the forms of ibadah is الإيمان. والإيمان مرتبة عظيمة من مراتب الدين وأركانه 6 كما ذكرها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في حديث جبريل عليه السلام المشهور. And so, as for ibadah we mentioned within this text, then what was also mentioned was the iman. And that iman is made up of 6 pillars that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. In the hadith, mentioned in the hadith of Jibreel. And he mentions that iman and tu'minu billahi wa malaikati wa kutubihi wa rusuli wa yawm al-akhir wa tu'minu biqadri خيره وشره يعني من الله تبارك وتعالى. So it's to believe in Allah, the angels, the books, His messages, the last day, to believe in the qadr of Allah, the good of it and the bad. And believe that it's from Allah تبارك وتعالى. ولكل ركن من هذه الأركان 6 معنى ينبغي فهمه. And so, for this rukn, for this particular pillar, then there are 6, as mentioned, that the person must understand its meaning, the meaning of them. أما الأعمال من الإيمان بالله عز وجل فهو تصديق بوجوده وإقرار الصريح بالربوبية واعتراف الظاهر والباطن بالألوهية والإيمان على الوجه الحق بالأسماء والحسنى وصفات العلا. And so, here when it comes to Iman Billah, is that the person must believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believe in His existence, and have absolute belief and affirmation of His Lordship, acknowledging that which is apparent, that which is within, or hidden by way of His worship. And to believe in a manner which is correct in His names and His attributes, His beautiful names and lofty attributes. And so from the ayat mentioned in relation to this belief, or the belief in Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, this name of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, وَإِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ الرَّحِيمُ. And your Lord is one. There's no deity worthy of worship but Him. He is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. He is the one that possesses all mercy, and the one that bestows the mercy upon the believers. Likewise, Allah Ta'ala mentions, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ huwa as-sami' al-basir, in relation to the asma wa sifat. There's nothing like unto him. And he is all hearing, all seeing. And the thamarat, the benefits of Imamillah is that the person frees himself from having attachment to other than Allah, or the worship of other than Allah, in all these different forms of worship. And that the person is firmly upon worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely for him. Thereafter, you have the next pillar, which is Imam al-Malaika, الذي هو الركن الثاني من أركان الإيمان. Thereafter, you have the Malaika, the belief in the Malaika, which is the second pillar. And this is the تصديق بوجودهم وأنهم من مخلوقات الله عظيمة خلقهم الله وجبلهم على طاعته. And so, when it comes to Imam al-Malaika, this is believing in their existence, and that they're from the creation of the great creation of Allah Ta'ala, and that Allah Ta'ala has created them upon an affair of being obedient to Him. We understand from this as well, barakallahu feekum, when it comes to Iman al-Malaika, and they believe in the Malaika, then there are two types. The belief in the Malaika is of two types. You have belief in the Malaika, which is Am, which is general. Believe in the angel, which is general. And belief in the Malaika, which is Khas. Believe in the Malaika, which is specific. Believing in the Malaika, which is general, as mentioned here, believing in them and believing in their existence. I believe that they're from the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them. Believing in the Malaika generally is believing that they're created from Nur, created from light. Believing in the Malaika generally is believing in the fact that they have been created upon being obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They've been created with this absolute obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Belief in the Malaika also, in general, is also believing in the fact that these Malaika are great in number and great in size. So this is general. Then you have the specific when it comes to believing the Malaika. And this, for example, is when the individual believes in the Malaika that have been specified. So he believes in the Malaika in terms of their names, the names that have been revealed to us. He believes in the Malaika in terms of their wadha'if, the jobs that have been given and the tasks that have been given to them. He believes in them in terms of that. This is the specific belief in terms of Malaika. And both are required if the person is truly to adhere to this pillar. Now, from the benefits of believing in the Malaika is that they have knowledge, they possess knowledge of a great form of creation. And this is if they have Iman bin Malaika. Of course, Iman cannot occur except with ilm. You cannot have Iman, you cannot have belief in something except with knowledge. And so thus, Iman bin Malaika, meaning that they believe in the Malaika, and thus they have knowledge of this great form of creation. Number two, is shukr al-abd rabbahu ala ma أوله من التربية العامة والخاصة وإناية البالغة فقد هيأ له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. And the second is that the person allows the person to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grateful to his Lord, by way of that which he has cultivated him upon as a servant, in a way that was general and specific, due to the fact that he's brought about these Malaika, and brought about the Malaika in order to aid them, and brought them to aid this affair of their tarbiyah, of the mankind. And likewise as well, from the benefits of this is the love, to have this love for the malaika. That this iman brings about love, and this is the obligation of loving the angels. The next pillar, the third pillar of iman, is the iman, the believing in the books. And this is to have the absolute belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed these books. And that this is from the kalam of Allah, and that they have been revealed to His messengers as wahi. Again, iman in the kutub is general and specific. We generally believe in the kutub as these books have been revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They've been revealed by Allah and sent down to the dunya. And Allah ta'ala takallam biha qawlan. Allah ta'ala spoke by way of them in speech. And He sent them upon His messengers as wahi. He sent them upon His messengers as revelation. This is what we generally must believe in relation to the kutub. As for that which is specific, then specifically, no doubt, we must believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the books that we are aware of, and that we affirm those books. So we affirm the Torah, we affirm the Zabur, we affirm the Surah of Ibrahim, we affirm the Injil, we affirm, of course, the Quran. So we affirm that these books have been revealed to their respective messengers. And so this, no doubt, is from Iman bil Kutub. Iman bil Rusul, as for the Iman in relation to the Rusul, to the messengers, then this is the belief that the messengers have been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as mubashirin mundhirin. They've been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as individuals that have given glad tidings. They've been sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as individuals that are warners, clear warners. لَأَلَّا يَكُونَ عَلَى النَّاسِ حُجَّةً بَعْدَ الرُّسُلِ, so that the people cannot say that they have a proof against Allah after they've been sent messengers. The first of them is Nuh alayhi salam. The last of them being Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And no doubt, it's upon the individual that he believes all these messages. He cannot disbelieve in any one of them. As disbelieving in any one of them is tantamount to disbelieving in all of them. And disbelieving in any one of the messages and inkar of any of one of the messages, in the rejection of any one of the messages, is kufr. Disbelief. And so the one individual, again, generally has to affirm these things about the messengers. Specifically, affirms the messages that have been revealed to us, in their names and the Christmas that have been revealed to us, those that are thabita, those that have been affirmed. As for Iman and the benefits of Iman bil Rusul, is that the person has absolute knowledge of the Rahmah of Allah Ta'ala, Al-Aziz, Al-Rahim. That he has knowledge and absolute knowledge of the Rahmah. He has knowledge of the mercy of Allah Ta'ala upon the creation, by way of Him sending messengers. And the sending of messengers was a mercy in of itself. An action of mercy in of itself by way of Him sending the messengers. Alayhi salatu wassalam. The second is that the person understands that they take into consideration that these risalats, these messages, are a blessing, the greatest blessing that Allah Ta'ala has bestowed upon His servants in every time and every place. And from the thamarat as well, from the benefits of believing in the messengers, is that these messengers, these noble messengers, were people of sincere advice and truthfulness and trustworthiness and ikhlas. So they have love for these messengers. They have love for these messengers because they were noble messengers upon sincere advice, truthfulness and ikhlas. As for the belief in the last day, then this is belief when it comes to having knowledge, no doubt, based upon ilm. Or having belief based upon ilm, having belief based upon knowledge. Having belief based upon knowledge from the Book of Allah and the sunnah of his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that the person believes that Aliyanus has the firm agreement that he will be raised after his death, and that his limbs and his body will be gathered on this day when there la rayba fi, on this day when there's no doubt. And so this, no doubt, is in relation to Yawm al-Qiyamah. Allah Ta'ala mentions, وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَى. And it mentions whoever does, this word mithqal. This word mithqal, generally you find this, usually it was translated as atom's weight. Naam. But in reality, Allah Ta'ala knows best. Mithqal is actually like a small ant, small insect. And so it's used to define something which is obviously very, very small in size. The reason why you find maybe sometimes translated to the word atom is because this is something which is generally referred to in terms of science as something being very, very small. But mithqal mithqal dharra, we understand, is a very, very small insect. So whoever does an action to this degree, very, very small, of this very, very small insect, of good, then they will see it. They will see the recompense from it. And whoever sees a small action, or whoever does a small action of evil, then they will see it. They will see the recompense from it. And then, now, likewise, it's upon the person to believe in all these things, and they cannot disbelieve in any aspect of these things. From the benefits of Iman in this pillar, believe in this particular pillar, is that they come upon doing righteous actions, and they're steadfast in earning hasanat by way of their speech and their actions, and they race towards good. When a person is well aware of the akhirah, and he has an ilm of the akhirah, and thus acts upon it, acts on that ilm, that's what causes him to race towards good. Likewise, the opposite is true. When a person has knowledge of the akhirah, then this is the means of him withholding from ma'asi. This is what causes him to withhold from evil. Whether it be evil in speech or actions, whether it be evil that which is within, hidden, or that which is apparent. Na'am, because he's aware of the uqubah of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. He's aware of the punishment of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So no doubt we mentioned aqwal and af'al, actions and speech within, or that which is outward. The person, when they're aware of the akhirah, have knowledge of the akhirah, have knowledge of the mizan, have knowledge of the sirat, have knowledge of the ba'th, have knowledge of the hold, the pool, have knowledge of all of these things in the akhirah, then this is what causes them. This should be the dafi. This is what pushes them as a causation for them to perform righteous actions, and a causation for them to leave off evil actions. As the servant of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, what is incumbent upon him is that he is between al-khawf wa al-raja. He's between hope and fear. So he does those righteous actions in hope of these actions being accepted. And he leaves off the evil actions in fear of, or evil action in fear of him doing the evil action which will be held against him, or will be held to account for. Then we have the sixth pillar of Iman, and this is the belief in the Qadr. And this is the belief that everything that occurs, everything within the creation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained for it to occur. Whether it be the greater form of creation, the lower form of creation, or the small parts of creation. All of this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained to occur. And Iman in the Qadr is of 4 maratib. Iman in the Qadr is of 4 maratib, 4 levels. The first level is Iman bil-ilm billah. Uhit bi kulli shay. The first is that, I believe in the Qadr, is that the person has knowledge that, or a person affirms, and has the belief that Allah Ta'ala's knowledge is encompassing of everything. The second is Iman bi kitabillah alladhi lam yufarrid fihi min shay. The second is the Iman in the Book of Allah, believe in the Book of Allah. Believe in the Book of Allah, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not leave anything by way of that which we need. The third, or the third is the kitabatillah, that which Allah Ta'ala has written. He hasn't left anything from his kitabah. And that which has been written and preserved on Lawh Mahfuz. The third, from his maratib, from his levels, is the Mashiach of Allah. نعرف that وقدرته الشاملة فما شاء الله كونه فهو كائن بقدرته لا محالة. And the third is the Mashiach of Allah, the will of Allah Ta'ala. So that which Allah Ta'ala wills to occur will occur. That which Allah Ta'ala wills to occur, it will occur. And the fourth is Iman and the khalq kull shay. And the fourth level is that a person believes that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is the one that has created everything. And now, this is in relation to the Qadr and the belief in the Qadr. Now, and so, as for the proof, as mentioned in this regard, Allah Ta'ala mentions وَخَلَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَقَدَّرَهُ تَقْدِيرًا. And He has created everything and has given everything in its due measure and declared everything and ordained everything in its due measure. Likewise, as mentioned in Sahih Muslim, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As رضي الله عنهما قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن الله كتب مقادير الخلائق قبل أن يخلق السماوات والأرض ب50,000 سنة. And so is mentioned by Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As. He mentions, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say that indeed Allah Ta'ala has written that which will occur from the maqadir of the creation before anything from the heavens and the earth was created by way of 50,000 years. So 50,000 years before anything was created. And the source other than that. And you have texts which are clear and indicate this affair of the makhluqat, for the creations. That which occurs within the creation itself, whether that be the creation of the higher regard or lower than that all of these things are from the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the thamarat, we'll go straight to the thamarat, from the benefits of belief in the qadr is that a person relies upon Allah and he directs his affairs back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He directs his affairs back to Allah because He is the one that has control over all the affairs. And so any need that a person has, if a person has a need to relieve them of a harm, then they go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They go back to Allah. Likewise as well, al-ibti'ad wal-hadar min al-wuqu' في داء العجب عندما يحصل الإنسان على مراده من حاجات الدين والدنيا. Likewise as well, when a person has knowledge of the qadr and belief in the qadr of Allah, it causes them to they should be distanced from ujub, amazement, and the self-amazement that may occur when a person is granted something of good, because he knows that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained for this to occur, that he has it. And so it's not from his own self. Because if Allah Ta'ala wished for it to be taken from him, whatever good has come, then it will be taken. And so the person is free from this affair of ujub, this affair of self-amazement or amazement of anything that has come to them without it being ascribed to Allah. And so we have the final level from these levels of deen, and this is the level of al-ihsan. The level of ihsan. And the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentions the ihsan, his definition of ihsan أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. The ihsan is to worship Allah as if you see him, but you do not see him, but he sees you. And so the meaning is that you worship Allah and you are well aware of the greatness of Allah Ta'ala. And so this ilm that you have of Allah and this manner in which you worship Allah informs the way that you worship him. And you worship him with this level of yaqeen. When you have yaqeen about something, or when you see something, you have yaqeen, you witness something, this increases you in certainty. And when a person worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he has this degree of certainty that when he worships him, now yes, he's certain Allah ta'ala exists, he's certain of Allah ta'ala being the Rabb al-Alameen. And this is what informs the manner in which he worships Allah. He worships Allah as if he sees him ta'ala. And then that which is also mentioned is the maraqabah of Allah. But indeed you do not see him as he sees you. And some of Ahlul Ilm, they mentioned this statement from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in this hadith. They divide it into two. The first being أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه. The first being to worship Allah as if you see him. The second being فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. The second being that indeed you don't see him but he sees you. And they mentioned from them Sheikh Abdulhakeem mentions them of two types. And that the first and تعبد الله كأنك تراه, to worship Allah as if you see him, this is the higher of the two levels. And so you worship Allah as if you see him. In لم يكن ذلك, if that is not possible for whatever reason, then you know for certain that Allah sees you. That's a second, a slightly lower level. But all of it being from ihsan. Allah Ta'ala mentions, وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And be upon those that are from ihsan and do good. Indeed, Allah has love for the muhsineen, those that are upon ihsan. And Allah Ta'ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. And indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with those that have fear. I fear Allah. And those who are the muhsinun. Likewise, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he states, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَتَبَ الْإِحْسَانَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala has prescribed and written ihsan upon everything. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala has prescribed ihsan upon everything. And that concludes our discussion around these maratib of deen and these levels of deen. And inshaAllah ta'ala, we'll conclude here, naktafi, بهذا القدر بإذن الله ta'ala. And inshaAllah, in our next lesson, we'll start to discuss some of the anwa' al-ibadah, some of the different types and different forms of ibadah, as mentioned by Shaykh al-Islam, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab in the text, and it's of course explained by Shaykh al-Shaykh Zayd Ahmad Khalil رحمه الله جزاكم الله خير وبارك الله فيكم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.